I'm Pastor Jason Antley.
I'm Pastor Heather Apel.
I'm Pastor Fred Klinker.
We're glad to bring you greetings on behalf of the Synod's Compensation Guidelines Task Force. We wanted to share a few things with you that we've been working on over the last year, but first we thought a little background might be in order. So in late 2010, then Assistant to the Bishop, and now Bishop Jenny Aputure, Deacon Lexanne Graves, and I were challenged with the task of putting together a comprehensive document that would aid our Synod in helping to form and shape a healthy practice of compensation for our rostered leaders in many and various ministry settings and contexts. Prior to this document being formed, our compensation guidelines were a single page with the recommended salary for first-year, first-call candidates, and after that, compensation was left to the imagination on how it should progress over a career or take into consideration a variety of variables. This extensive document that we have now is an attempt to give instruction on what fair compensation for our rostered leaders might look like. We fully understand that it is impossible for one document to fully satisfy all calls and contexts, but we believe that the document is helpful to most. We also understand that this document is just the beginning, hopefully leading to healthy conversations and negotiations between the rostered minister, congregations, and synod over what fair compensation might look like for each call and context.
Over the years, this document has reflected Martin Luther's desire that the church be constantly reforming, as the document has been updated, edited, and reshaped a little each year due to synodical needs, a changing world, noticeable flaws or omissions brought to our attention, etc. As an example, at last year's Synod Assembly, it was brought to the floor that this task force needed to reconsider two things in the document. The section denoting and making recommendations about maternity and parental leave, and that the base salary of a first-year, first-call candidate had been stagnant for a considerable amount of time, especially in the light of inflation and increased cost of living over the years. To address these concerns, Bishop Jenny put together a team of lay and rostered leaders throughout the Synod to meet, study, and determine an appropriate response to these recommendations from the Assembly floor. As we met, we were quickly able to study and evaluate various maternity and parental leave recommendations from around the ELCA. After conversation, the group decided to change the name of this section of the compensation guidelines from maternity and parenting leave to the broader name of family leave. This not only allowed us to update recommendations about appropriate leave around childbirth and family transitions, but it also allowed us to incorporate and include recommendations for times when rostered ministers may need to provide care for a family member who is sick or aging, and also during times of the death of a family member. We hope the changes will be satisfactory.
Addressing the second recommendation from the Synod Assembly floor would be a little trickier. After some research, we found that the base salary for a first-year, first-call candidate has not changed for at least the last 15 years, possibly longer. As you can imagine, $35,000 in today's world does not have the same buying power as it did in 2009, so a change is definitely warranted in that regard. The challenge is that for every dollar we increase the base salary, that inflates every other figure in the pay package, including housing allowance, Social Security allowance, retirement, and medical benefits. In addition, we understand the financial hardships and struggles of many of our Synod congregations. Some are already finding it difficult to afford a rostered minister as is. The question becomes, should we allow these financial difficulties to limit the need to increase the base salary? Or should this document reflect what is fair and let each context consider their future in light of appropriate recommendations? This group chose the latter, making the recommendation that base salary numbers increase, not all at once, but by $3,000 a year over the next 3 years. By doing so, we will not fully reach the inflation rate from all these years of base salary stagnancy, but we will position ourselves to be fairer to our rostered ministers and also to be more in line with surrounding synodical compensation standards. One additional item that we needed to address was the exponential increase in pay over the years of experience, with the current document giving a 2.5% raise into perpetuity for each year of service. As the base salary increases over the next few years, we worried about what that would do to the compensation numbers for those with many years of experience, possibly taking those numbers over a threshold of what is a reasonable rate of compensation based on the market. To address this issue, we implemented a decreasing percentage for each year of experience. For example, your first year of experience would garner you a 3.5% raise, your second year 3.4%, your third year 3.3%, until the increase levels off at 1.5% at approximately the 22nd year of experience. This helped to keep compensation numbers in a reasonable range for the market, and also brought a greater increase in salary in earlier years of a rostered minister's career to help account for student loan debt.
We know that with any change, there will be questions and possible concerns. Please understand that our Compensation Guidelines Task Force has met extensively and talked and prayed and wrestled with so many thoughts and options before coming to these recommendations. We, the members of the task force, believe that having this document reflect what is fair and what is equitable to our rostered ministers is vitally important. If you have questions or concerns about these changes or anything else to do with this document, please feel free to reach out to the Synod office. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. We look forward to joining with you at our upcoming assembly.